People talk all the time about getting the film look with digital cameras. It's never really been something I've thought much about. Up until recently, I had only used ever digital cameras, and getting them to look great hasn't really been a problem. With any of the cinema cameras I've used over the years, the image has just gotten better and better, giving me more to work with and more forgiveness in terms of the color process. Yet, I found myself curious what that means to get the film look. And to the surprise of absolutely no one, there are a million videos that have already been made on the subject. How to get the cinematic look, how to get the film look. It's been exhausted and done really well by a number of people. I'm using a tool called Dehancer. It's a plugin in Resolve that lets you use film emulation to get your footage close to a style of a certain film stock. Disclaimer, I am not a professional colorist. It's rare for me to do final color for a project, but if you're looking for an easy entry point into color grading like I was, you might find this tool useful. I took my 35mm camera, a few rolls of film, and shot the same person doing similar things in different locations. And if you didn't already know that that thing was going to be roller skating, you must be new here. What I haven't seen a lot of talk about is how they compare to 35mm film stocks. Film photography is really having a moment. I've waited over 2 months for some overpriced Portra 400, so when I came across Dehancer, I wanted to approach it in a different way. All these examples are the graded and ungraded, matching the actual profile of this film you're seeing in the image. Ectar 100 is the Ectar 100 LUT, so to speak. I even bought a second version of this exact lens so I could take away another variable between the two setups. This next section is all Ectochrome. First shot is obviously the picture from the camera with the actual film, and the shot that's moving is captured on the red Komodo. I tried to keep exposure as similar as possible. I was also able to capture a few shots of the roll of Metropolis before I finished it to add an extra layer of comparison. Here I did leave the grain option on in the film. That is something you can play around with a lot more, but I don't really like an overly grain added image most of the time, so I tend to stay away from that when I'm using Dehancer. But I really was pretty impressed with how desaturated this was able to instantly be. I know that's the look, I know that's what it's trying to do, but it does a good job. This is all Ectar, which I'm pretty pleased with how it came out matching, with just subtle adjustments to really make it work. I did learn that the lenses are slightly different. They do seem like they have different color casts, but again, that's something that's not super difficult to change in Resolve. And lastly, the one I was most excited about is Cinestill 800. It's definitely my favorite film to shoot, particularly at night, and this might have been the most successful comparison with the least amount of work. These shots really do compare in tone and style to the look you get out of Cinestill. And being able to match the lenses, again, makes it a really fair comparison. This one in particular, with the red flashing lights, I was impressed with. Here, the halation, that's something you can also do in Resolve that I was able to add here, which really sells the effect from how the 35mm looks to how the motion picture looks. Let's go back and look at this clip and the photo we're trying to compare it to, which is this one. This is again Cinestill 800, so we're going to add a node. Then we're going to add the Dehancer plugin on top of that node. Some people definitely add more nodes, and they are probably better colors than me, but this is the quick and easy way. Choose your camera, which for me is the red Komodo, which is the 6K version. That's the only version of the camera, and the normal red LUT. You can see it's looking pretty red right now, even after I do find Cinestill on the drop-down menu. Something's wrong, and that's because we're shooting raw, and I didn't change the white balance. So once you do that, you see you're already a lot of the way there. But there is one bigger detail missing, and that's the halation effect, which you can use these sliders to change as you please, and then you get a pretty solid back and forth comparison. I know they're not exactly the same, it's definitely more of a yellow tint, but in terms of a quick and dirty, show you how it's done, that's how I did it for just about all of these clips. It's really a fun plugin to have. I'm just impressed with the number of film stocks in the drop-down menus, stuff I actually want to use. I'm often scared of plugins. I think they're just too much to dive into, and I don't really want to get involved, and I stayed away from it for a pretty long time, but this has been really easy to jump into. I was not sponsored to make this video. They just sent me an offer to get the software for free for my trial and give you guys a 10% discount if you want to use the link in the description. So I just had a really good incentive to finally compare 35mm film to the film profiles that they're offering with their plugin. The effects are deep. There's a lot you can do with exposure and how pushing and pulling will change, how much film grain there is. Again, the halation's really useful, bloom on your highlights, vignetting, film breath, all this stuff that the farther you go down the line, the less I understand it. It just means there's so much more potential to it. This was more of a try it and see type thing. I've been working on it over the last month, getting a rollback, seeing the results, and trying again with a new one. I'm not trying to say one is better than the other in terms of film or digital, just highlighting what is possible at even a beginner's level with this type of plugin. And I know I said up front that the Get the Film Look video has been exhausted, and when I say exhausted, I mean it's been done really well many times. Rob Ellis has the explainer that I've liked the most when I've watched after I finished my own video and thought, wow, that's a really clear way of explaining it, so go check out that video if you want to understand the process more. This was not sponsored, again, but the folks at Dehancer hooked me up with a license to try things out, and there's a code in the description to take a chunk off that price tag for you. For quick looks, I can see this being a really helpful tool for final versions of projects or creating reference LUTs that you're going to take onto set. For people who want to dive in even deeper into color, I can see this being your new favorite tool just because of how much fine control you have in the image. I feel like it's something you can grow with as you understand color more. I hope to grow with it the more I actually understand this whole world. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm off walking.